Live from a grungy kitchen table located in Annapolis, Maryland's scenic and historic capital, it's the Maryland Crabs Podcast. With each episode, your hosts, Tim Hamilton, John Fernay, and the occasional guest will dive in and pick apart the stuff that really matters most to you. We're too lazy to actually solve any of these problems, but we can definitely stir the pot. From schools, politics, parking in the fire lane, to those horrible people who drive BMWs. And here with this week's episode, live from the kitchen table, Tim Hamilton and John Fernay.
Hey there, this is John Fernay with the Maryland Crabs. Tim Hamilton is on vacation this week, and, not really. He just didn't show up for this one. But you know what? We wanted to take an episode and really talk about some of the festivals that are happening here in and around Annapolis and Anne Arundel County. We'll have another one a little bit later on in the summer, but three of the festivals that we wanted to talk about today are one that is happening this weekend, the Naptown BarBAYq, which is fantastic. You've got all sorts of great meat coming from all over the country. Followed up by the Annapolis Irish Festival, which will be happening in early June this year, which is a departure from the prior years. And then also the Maryland Seafood Festival in September, which is going to be celebrating a huge anniversary, 50 years of bringing a seafood festival to Annapolis. Hey, without much further ado, let's just get right into it and talk with Brendan Curley, who is with ABC Events, and the Naptown BarBAYq. Hey, we're here with Brendan Curley. How are you, Brendan?
Good, John. Great to see you.
Okay, people are going, who the hell is Brendan Curley? But I will tell you that. This is the brainchild behind ABC Events, which puts on four major events in the area that everybody probably has been to at one point or another. And I guess in chronological order, you've got the Maryland Chicken Wing Festival, you've got the Bay Bridge Paddle, the Naptown BarBAYq, and the long-running 50 years Maryland Seafood Festival, which is coming up in September.
Yeah, very good, John. That's in order, too. Thank you.
In order, absolutely. And then, throughout the time, you've also done Annapolis Beer Week.
Yeah.
And there's a couple 5Ks and everything else there as well. And sometime you've found to get a family and like 19 kids and, and a wife and everything else.
We actually, what's funny is we actually got our start with the Maryland Maritime Heritage Festival back in 2006. We're in supporting of the Volvo Ocean Race. So you remember when the Volvo came to Annapolis?
Yes,
there was a stopover at the city dock, and so we got hired by the organizing committee of the Volvo to put on that event in downtown Annapolis. So that's really what started the event group, and we did it just for 5 or 6 months leading into that, and through the weekend. And we thought, hey, this is pretty fun. Maybe we should continue to try to do this.
Well, that's great. Now I got to ask, there was a little bit of a problem with the Maryland Wing Festival, which just absolutely took off this year. Last year, it was part of Annapolis Beer Week, as it was in years past. What happened, real quick?
Well, it's thanks for asking. Is that we had the first year we did it, we had 800 people at the Armory. The next year, we had 1,600 people at the Armory, and then outgrew the Armory, went to the Fairgrounds, had 6,000 people, and then this past year, we had 7,000 in pre-sales, and we thought, based on the previous years, we knew what we were going to get in addition to pre-sales.
On the walk-up.
On the walk-up, yes. And instead of having the usual 15 to 20%, we had double. And when you're at 7,000, it's a significant impact. And we did as best as we could that day to try to mitigate it. We tried to pull as many levers that we could pull. And it still wasn't enough. And that, again, it's a good problem to have, meaning that people think that the event idea is cool, and we're going to get better. I mean, we're going to learn from that. We won't make that mistake again.
Well, I was going to say, there's probably a ton of lessons learned.
Yeah, and we take that very personally. The events are very personal to us. We try to make them something that we would want to attend. We think of ourselves as hosts. So it's a tricky and it's a slippery slope of trying to balance that. But, we're never going to let that happen again in terms of an open-ended. We'll shut it off sooner. We have some other levers in place in terms of having additional food sources close by and things like that. It was a great learning is how we'll chalk it up. But also I feel like as a group we're getting bigger, that these events, that's still not as big as the Seafood Festival, but it's certainly a significant event in the market.
Well, you're also at a different place. Seafood Festival is at Sandy Point State Park versus the Anne Arundel County Fairgrounds. So, there's a little bit of logistics involved there that make the Seafood Festival a little bit better able to handle a larger crowd, I think.
Absolutely, just the spacing alone.
Yeah. I've got to say that I've been in town a long time, as have you, and festivals I don't want to say come and go, but there's so many festivals that go on and they're repeats, and somebody comes up with a good idea, and there's not one that hasn't had sort of a formative year that just like, oomph, kicks it up and says, "Oh my gosh, what did we do? We need to really learn from this." And I think that was it, because the seafood festival. I mean, certainly the great weather you had didn't help. If it rained a little bit, you might have been okay. But
and it wasn't a great weather day even for the wings. If you're talking about that, it wasn't. That's another factor we certainly put into our numbers, in that it was overcast. It wasn't a very warm day,
right?
But people came out of the woodwork, and again, we thank them for coming, and we'll get better from that. But again, I also feel like it's a tricky business, as you know, John, from being around and seeing enough events. Is how do you make it where your vendors are happy, the participants are happy, and it's tough to please everybody. Now, this is an example where we could have done better,
right?
But there's certainly some areas that we felt we did well.
Let's move along. And after this airs, actually, the Bay Bridge paddle will have happened, and that's kind of a really cool little thing that you started that last year. Yeah,
do you know it's so my mother is we do some work for a little nonprofit called the Betterment Foundation for CommunityBetterment.org, and it's really something that we're very proud of, and been at it for about 15 years. My mother has been doing a paddle on the St. Lawrence River up in upstate New York for about 15 years, mostly kayaks and St. Lawrence skiffs. So they have a place in the St. Lawrence, and so for years she's been doing this paddle for Betterment, and that I always thought it was a really neat event. And then I've been wanting to do something kind of a once-in-a-lifetime or a bucket list thing down here. And with the Bay Bridge and with the paddling community, we got to know some folks. And with the great help of the U.S. Coast Guard, it's been something that's been it's been really exciting.
Well, who else involved with it in the paddle community? I mean, do you have the local people? You've got some local paddle companies?
Yes, some local companies, but really it's, Shendon Grove is our race director, a local paddler, and he's done an amazing job in getting some folks together. And Carlene Burns. And then the folks from Capital Sup have really been good. Really, kind of the three groups that help lead us. We have some great sponsors. Line and Kugel stepped up from Buck Distributing and was like, "Look, we think this is a great thing. It fits our mission. We want to support this." They gave us a 3-year commitment to help write the checks for the professionals.
Okay, and this is very similar to the Chesapeake Bay Bridge Swim, which happens in early June. Start at Sandy Point Park. You paddle all over to cross the bridge between the spans.
Between the spans, but the difference is we come back.
Right.
So it's a 9-mile race, and the lead guys, I'll tell you, John, it's fun to watch. They do it in about an hour. So 9 miles per hour pace, and they're flying. Have you ever seen a guy in a paddle boat going that fast? It's unreal.
That is crazy.
They're really interesting to watch.
Okay, so and that will have happened by the time this airs, but that comes every year. So look for this certainly in 2018. A lot of fun. You're going to have bands, entertainment. It'll be a lot of fun to watch at Sandy Point State Park.
Yeah, it should be good.
But moving ahead, which will be happening as this airs this Saturday, this weekend, is the Naptown BarBAYq. So let's talk about some pigs and pigs and turkey and all sorts of smoked meats. What's going on?
Thanks for asking. So the BarBAYq is, first of all, we just started working. We're going to create it for the first time this year. It's been in play for 6 years with the Rotary has been running it.
Right.
And then we bought it from the Rotary this past fall. And it'll be new for ABC, but they've been doing it, and the Rotary's been amazing in terms of supporting us. They're going to be the charity that we're going to donate to, and they've been giving us a lot of guidance. Our goal, just to back up, is for all of our events is we try to add some new elements every year, so that if you came last year, there's 2 or 3 new things or better things than were there the year before.
You have to, and sometimes that can be a challenge. So what's new at the BarBAYq for those that have been there before?
The biggest thing that I think the people that have been there before are going to love is we're getting rid of the barbecue bucks. So we're going to eliminate a line.
So that $150 that I've got sitting at home is not
not this year. If you bring it, we'll honor it. But yes, we're going to get rid of that. And that we're doing some concessions around the barbecue competitors and try to get them more engaged in the within the festival itself, so the general public can have more access and get some time with them. We're bringing back the judges school, so if you want to learn to be a KCBS judge,
and that's Friday evening, correct?
It'll be Friday evening, yep.
And that's kind of a cool thing. I mean, I remember when the Rotary brought that in, that really sold out very quickly. That was that's where you can actually go across country and judge barbecue.
I know, it's a neat concept, but again, we're learning this process. I wasn't a big barbecue person before we started to get into this space, and that I think it's pretty awesome. And then again, think about this, John. If you have this card that allows you to go try free barbecue, as you said, all over the country. I mean, how cool is that?
Yeah.
If you
What else can we expect at the event? Obviously, you've got entertainment.
Yeah, some really good acts. I think one of the ones we're super excited about is Pressing Strings. They're a local act that have really, to me, they're one of the up-and-comers that are going to do very, very well. We have 2 stages, lots of kids' activities, arts and crafts, some really good vendors to come see. But really, we're going to focus on trying to bring in better and improve the barbecue for the general public.
Okay.
So that'll be the one. And then the other one is we're trying to expand the people's choice, which just means the general public will be able to taste competition-level barbecue. So we're asking the competitors...
Okay, so how does that work?
So if from the Seafood Festival, you've been to the Crab Soup Cook-Off before.
Right.
It's similar to that. Is we're going to have a tent down there where they're going to each vendor will put in some pork barbecue to try with their seasonings and their taste to it. And then you're going to vote on it and say, look, which is the best? And we'll have cash prizes for those groups.
Okay, so that's the tasting is an additional on top of the admission. Okay, so the admission gets you in, it gets you access to all the barbecue, the entertainment, the kids' activity, all the fun that goes throughout the day,
right?
As well. And if you want to be part of the tasting,
yeah, it's $10 to get a ticket. It gives you 5 samples. And
okay, so you're getting fed for $10, and you get to help choose the winner, and that's just people's choice. That's just majority rules type thing.
Exactly right. Yeah, we don't have the professional judges for that. The KCBS guys, though, will be doing their lock-in at 12 on Saturday. They'll be doing their hand-in of the different quantities.
Okay, so you've got some professional. You've got 2 rounds of judging. Then you've got the people's choice, and then the professional judges that are going to be doing the Kansas City barbecue.
That's exactly right.
Society right. There. That's pretty cool. And now this goes on Saturday, correct?
Yeah, so what we wanted to do is the last couple of years they've had it 2 or 3 days, and we wanted to shorten it and just to see, again, kind of learning and really trying to keep our observation hat on for this year, minimize risk, and see where we can make some improvements to it. But we're committed to the event. We think it's got a lot of potential. We just need to figure out the niche for it that makes it unique. So as of what I've told you already, those are things that you can do in a lot of places. But I think that we're going to try to improve upon them and make them all even better.
Any inside scoop on barbecue supplier to look out for? Who's coming loaded for bear? Do you have any idea?
Well, I tell you what, the best thing I can share with you on that, John, is they're amazing names. It's like pork and wreck.
Okay.
I mean, stuff like that. So there's and the other thing I would tell you is that there's diversity of it. We have people that are coming with 50-foot rigs, and we have people coming with a 10-foot smoker. And they're all very, very good, and a lot of them have been doing it for many years.
I know I've been to the BarBAYq for pretty much every year that it's happened. When the first year it did it at the Navy Marine Corps Memorial Stadium, and it's always been a lot of fun. The competition is incredible. The signs or the names of the teams, as you say, are just they're almost as amusing as a protest in D.C. when you look, you've got like the Fat Bottom Girls Barbecue, which is the throwback to the Queen song
of course.
And whatnot. So it's a lot of fun there.
And they take it pretty seriously. That's the other thing I've learned is that they're very particular about what their needs are. They're very particular. They want to win. They want to have fun, of course, but they take it. They come to win. A lot of those teams. So.
Now, most of these guys are traveling competitors, if you will.
Yep.
Do we have any local entries?
There's a few from in and around the Annapolis area, and then there's, but I can tell you, there's one as far as, I want to say, from Texas.
Okay.
And a couple from Kansas City, so it should be pretty diverse, a group of competitors coming.
Well, I know over the years I've found it's interesting that the local, I want to say local barbecue restaurants that you typically know. You've got Adams and the Smokehouse and the Hideaway and Chad's and everything else. They all tend to not necessarily participate just because they're set up to do a retail sit down and serve you, and they're all wonderful. But these guys tend to be the ones like from someplace else, and they load it up, put it on 4 wheels or 6 wheels or 18 wheels, and head on out.
It's tricky. I tell you, that's one of our goals for the future is to get those folks. Because Chad's has been a big part of our wings for years, and it's done very well. He's won in the last couple of years, and so he does great food. Why not have him come? Red Hot and Blue is going to come out and check it out. So a lot of people that have heard about it and haven't been for various reasons. But I think it's good to have a good blend of local and regional and even some national folks to come. Because why not have, if you're living in Annapolis, why not get a taste for Chad's and go, I didn't even know Chad's was out here, as an example.
Yeah, no. Chad's and Bayside are 2 of the hidden gems of Edgewater, if you will.
Yeah, they do a really good job. They really do. They're fun to work with and very professional.
Might be something fun to do just to have since we do have a growth of barbecue joints in the area to have maybe for 2018 have a local barbecue cook-off where they maybe not have to bring everything that they need that a competitor may need.
Right, just have
a rolling competitor, and it's like, hey, we're based on a restaurant. We're not a competition barbecue, but dang, we can hang with the best.
Yeah, that's actually a really interesting idea, is to get them to come in, and even for the People's Choice would be fun, that they could be in that grouping.
Right. Well, the 6th annual Naptown BarBAYq is happening this weekend with the Judges School happening tomorrow night. The general BarBAYq is open on Saturday morning at 11 a.m.?
It actually opens at 10.
10 a.m.
10 a.m. and it goes till 8:30 p.m. Okay. And then the other thing we've done, too, is we've knocked the price down. So it used to be $15, and we've knocked it down to $12.
Oh, okay, nice. There you go, but it's $12 at the gate?
Yep, $12 at the gate.
We're looking for a great time at the Naptown BarBAYq.
Yeah, thanks. We hope you'll come out and give it a chance. And one other thing we're going to try to do this year and really focuses on is feedback is, again, this is new to us, not new to the market, but we want to make sure that it's improving and what new elements can we add to it. And that's something we're really going to focus on as a group.
Sounds like a plan. We'll see you at the BarBAYq.
All right.
Very few things in life are so precious and so irreplaceable that we all must do our part to protect them. The Chesapeake Bay is one of those things. You can do your part by contributing to the Chesapeake Bay and Endangered Species Fund. It's that little line item you'll see at the very end of your Maryland tax return. Any amount you give makes a difference, and it's tax deductible. I'm Peter Francho, Maryland Comptroller. Our bay and rivers thank you. Learn more about the Chesapeake Bay Trust at cbtrust.org.
And we are still here at City Dock Coffee in Arnold. City Dock Cafe? I'm looking at the cup here. Cafe or coffee? City Dock Coffee in Arnold. And they've got some awesome coffee. So we're here, but we are here with Kevin Chaney. I would love to say that he is the brainchild of the Irish Festival, or even the brainchild of the Irish Festival. We're going to go with the mouthpiece.
The mouthpiece is much better. Yeah, I'm definitely the mouthpiece. I'm pretty sure that's how I got involved in all this.
Yeah, Kevin is the guy that you probably don't know his name, but you totally recognize from the Irish Festival. He's the one that stands up on stage in the wacky leprechaun-looking thing, doing the MC, introducing most of the acts on the main stage, and and I sell him short there a little bit because he is really one of the brainchildren behind it. It is a group effort. And we're going to talk a little bit about the Irish Festival, the Annapolis Irish Festival, which is now coming into its 6th year. It has moved up. It's not in this god-awful July heat.
You mean a Irish Festival in the heat of July in Anne Arundel County?
That was the biggest thing. Why the hell in July? Why not in March? Well, I mean, look what March can bring. So
yeah, March is a bit too early. I mean,
although this March would have been ideal. It was nice. It was sunny. It was dry.
If only you could predict that. Especially after the bit of rain we had last year during the festival. We've moved up to the first weekend in June this year. Beat the heat. Try to have a little bit better weather. I think it'll be great. It'll be great. So we're hoping it'll be a little bit cooler, and everybody will come out and have a great time.
All right, let's talk a little bit about the Irish Festival. Let's take a step back here. This is 6th year on this thing, and this has been a wildly successful festival from the first year on. I mean, there have been obviously some bumps in the road, and earlier in this episode, we talked with Brendan Curley, who had some bumps in the road with his Chicken Wing Festival this year. Kegs and Corks had it. Everybody has their little bumps in the road, and they get on and move on, and they've turned it really into a signature event. This is something people look forward to every single year and I don't even want to say the Annapolis or Anne Arundel area, because we've got people that come from New York. I know
it's an East Coast festival. It's probably the largest Irish festival on the East Coast. It's huge from that standpoint.
I mean, I personally met people from Richmond and Norfolk and Harrisburg and Pittsburgh and Philadelphia and New York that I've talked to there. So this is a real big draw for the county. How did this get started back in 2011?
2011 was the first year, and the true brainchild. This is the baby of Eddie McGowan, right? So most folks know Eddie around town from playing some bagpipes on St. Paddy's Day and walking between pub to pub, or as also being part of the Rovers and Dublin Five. So Eddie has or
perhaps
go ahead,
running up Main Street in a Speedo.
Oh yeah, or running up Main Street, which is another brainchild of Eddie McGowan. But
did this start over a beer?
Well, this started over at least one, at least over one beer. There was probably a pint somewhere involved, which is a great way to decide to have an Irish festival. But Eddie was really into the Irish music scene here. This was something that was passionate to him. Like I said, he was a bagpipe player and musician, and the idea that that he was traveling elsewhere to play Irish music at festivals with his band, it was, well, why not? Why travel to do that, right? Why don't we have our own festival here? And I think there had been some iterations in the past that didn't quite go, but and I wasn't familiar with them, just only that I had heard that. But this was something that they wanted to do, that Eddie wanted to do, and he was all in. This is really his baby, and still is his baby.
Absolutely. Well, the first year I remember, it was a festival that was at the fairgrounds, and nobody really knew what it was. I remember Eddie had approached me and asked me. He said, "Hey, would you help with marketing it through Ion Annapolis?" The mantra was, it didn't matter whether the tickets were sold, just get people in the gates.
Absolutely. Well, because you've got to launch the thing. You've got to make people see what it is. So if you can get them in the gate and they'll have a great time, hopefully they'll come back.
They're back.
And that first year, I think Eddie and the small group of volunteers that he had, they did everything. I don't know how many times Double and Five played. I joke as I worked through the schedule, at one point that I think they might have done like 4 of the 5 sets or something like that, because everybody knew the Rovers and Double and Five. Eddie played. He was the chief cook and bottle washer. You would see him, running a case of toilet paper back up to the bathrooms, and then you'd see him playing his bass guitar.
I do remember him running off of a golf cart one time with a bag of trash.
Yes,
and
right.
Quick up on stage to grab his bass.
Right, absolutely. So
do it.
From delivering toilet paper, picking up trash, to playing the bagpipes. I mean, you do what you got to do, and I think that kind of passion for launching a festival like this is why the festival has grown, because it truly was. It's a love thing. It's he loves doing it. You're not going to outwork him, and that's why this thing has grown the way it has.
Well, a little bit of background on Eddie. He is a local boy.
Yes, local boy.
Born and raised here on the Broadneck Peninsula, and has quietly done so much for nonprofits, organizations, for people. I heard stories of friends that are, we'll say, down and out, call Eddie, and all of a sudden there is a house for them to live in, or there is, and he owns some homes downtown. Or it could be a house, or it could be a room in his house.
Absolutely.
My car breaks down, you can call Eddie, and there's probably a car that's available for you to use. And
so the Irish Festival is an extension of that. I mean, it truly is, because the Irish Festival is all about giving back to the community, right? They set goals. Eddie set goals for what he wanted to give back in the first 5 years, and he exceeded those numbers. The one thing that they've done is they've always given back. It's just part of the ethic that goes with this festival. So it's part of the drive. It's part of what we do. Besides just the love of the music and the Irish community. And when you say give back, I mean that's a monetary give back. Absolutely.
As well. And I know throughout the years, and he's spread the love, if you will. The Irish Festival has definitely spread the love. I know that over the years you've had Hospice, which has been a beneficiary. I know the Chesapeake Bay Trust has been.
Bella McCree this year.
Bella McCree. You've had the Wellness House of Annapolis in one year.
The list goes on, right?
It does. It does. It really goes on. So this is not only a fun time and everything else, it's a huge fundraiser for any number of local nonprofits that are around here.
And I think that's important, right? So this is the Annapolis Irish Festival, and besides being a really, really good time and being, what I think, very well done, the crux of it is that
I think the Emcee is probably the thing that makes that festival.
Despite the Emcee, we managed to get through every year, despite.
Well, this year it's moving up a little bit.
Right.
And it used to be the second to third week in July.
Mm-hmm. Right.
Invariably, it would be ungodly warm.
Absolutely. I think as this thing has grown, first 2 years, the main stage was kind of up on that hill area. We still had the sun, but it wasn't quite so bad. And then the third year, we moved the main stage down to the hill, and we literally spent the whole day looking into the sun as the sun set. In July, it was a tad warm. People had a good time, but it was a bit much. And then we had a little bit of rain that first evening.
And these are the learning curves that every festival will go through, that every event will go through. This is what you learn from and you move on.
Absolutely. And, we rectified that situation by I guess it was the third year, we put up a huge tent. Fourth year, we put up the huge tent down in the field to try to get everybody out of the sun.
Right.
Which helped. It helped a lot. Covered the main stage, covered all the patrons in front of the main stage. I mean, it was huge. But still...
And it wasn't a tent, it was more of a structure.
It was absolutely was a structure. You're absolutely right. It was a structure. It was 26,000 square foot of structure. You still had to deal with the heat. It kind of sweltered in there, I guess is the right word for it. We were out of the sun, but it was a little sweltering if there was no breeze. So anyway, this year, Eddie, through whatever finagling or negotiations he did, was able to secure the first weekend in June for the Irish Festival. That should get us a little bit closer to Irish-type weather. We're looking forward to maybe being a little bit cooler than what we get in mid-July.
I would certainly think so. June 2nd and 3rd.
June 2nd and 3rd, so it's a Friday and a Saturday.
As it always has been.
As it always has been. So we open up at 4 o'clock on Friday afternoon, and then it's a full day on Saturday. We open up at 11 o'clock on Saturday and go till, somewhere 10:30, 11 o'clock on Saturday night.
All right, let's talk about Friday a little bit. Last year, in years before, they used to have a tribute to the military and first responders and whatnot. Mm-hmm. And is that continuing this year?
That does continue. So that is our Friday night, and the response to that has been fantastic. It's a terrific kickoff to the weekend. Our military first responders, it's an opportunity for us to thank them and welcome them, get them in the door, and basically show our appreciation to them. We always have a ceremony, some special music on the main stage as a tribute to the first responders and our military, and it's been extremely well received.
And admission is free for the first responders.
Yep.
As well as active duty military with ID.
Correct. That is absolutely right.
And a guest.
Yes, and a guest.
Okay.
That is absolutely right.
So it's not a 2-for-1. It's a
It's
a 2-for-none.
Yeah, it really is. So it's like I say, it's been extremely well received. It creates a terrific atmosphere, and once again, it gives the Irish Festival an opportunity to say thank you and give back.
On Saturday, we open up at what time?
11 o'clock.
11 o'clock? And
Gates
we go
at 11
till...
o'clock. Well, I think the last band will go off somewhere between, we'll say 10:30.
Okay.
Right? We'll be done between 10:30 and 11 o'clock. It just depends.
Okay.
If the party's really rocking, sometimes that extra encore goes a little longer than it's supposed to.
Yeah. Tell the cops when they roll in. Say,
right.
We're on the way out. We're stopping. So and then there's the after party, of course. There now things have changed up a little bit. I know I've seen a lot of people talking about that the large tent that we talked about, the structure, is not going to be there this year. Obviously, partially because of the lack of heat.
Right.
The first part of June, which should be.
So we've made some changes,
which is essential to keep a festival fresh.
Absolutely.
I mean, you can't have the same thing time and time again. Then why do I want to spend my money to go to it?
Right, because I've been there, I've seen that, I've done that.
Right.
So there are actually some pretty significant changes this year. The stage is moving back to the bottom of the hill where it was in year 2.
Okay, and in the fairgrounds, that's at the bottom of that little bowl, and there is
exactly
sort of a permanent structure that's there.
That's exactly right. So
that's a natural amphitheater, sort of, isn't it?
It really is, because there is kind of a bowl, and it's a great location for the main stage. We will be rolling in a stage to put in front of that little structure that's there right now.
Oh, okay, so you're not going to play on that little structure.
We're not going to play on the little structure. That'll be part of our backstage area.
That's what you do in the first year of the festival.
The first year, and that is exactly what happened on the first year. I'm sure. I think Eddie probably played 4 or 5 sets there that first year on that little stage. So we'll roll a stage in there, which frees up that field, right? Because now we're not going to have our main stage. No. We're going to have a pipe competition down there, which is new this year, which is one of the fresh new things that we're going to do. So we're going to have a mass pipe competition down there in that.
What is a mass pipe competition?
So essentially what we're going to have is competition. It's going to feature 3 levels of bands, grade 5, which is your entry level, grade 4, and grade 3. So if you like bagpipes, it's going to be terrific. It's just going to be an all day. I think they start, I want to say 10 o'clock, but I mean 11 o'clock, but don't hold me to that. But
okay.
Basically all afternoon is going to be.
And this is Saturday.
This is all afternoon on Saturday down in the main field. So it's new, it's different. It truly is going to bring that Celtic flavor to the festival that's a little bit different than what we've had in the past. We've always had the Chesapeake Caledonians come and play, and
right, they tend to open up.
Absolutely.
Open up the festival.
Yep. And they still will. They're our home team.
They're the house band.
They're the house band. Absolutely. And they'll still be there for that. And we're happy to have them. But this year we're going to have this competition down in the main field where the main stage and tent have been for the last couple of years. And once again, that's new. It's totally different. And I think people are really going to enjoy that.
Well, take no offense. I personally will not be there. Bagpipes and me don't agree.
No?
No. It goes back to high school. I graduated in a very small high school in Connecticut, and we had to walk from school to this place where we did graduation, and it was about a mile and a half, and we were led by a solo bagpiper playing the same song. And it was a very slow march. It was almost like the Bataan Death March. It was just very, very slow. And that day I was so happy that my name was Frenay. I would have killed myself if I was named Anderson, but I would have given my left leg to have been called Zimmerman, just to have been farther away from that. So ever since 1980, I've had a little bit of an aversion to bagpipes in large numbers.
Well, for those of you that are not like John and enjoy the sound of bagpipes at a
there you go. In
Celtic
this
festival,
episode, you've got two quirks out of me. I don't like seafood and I don't like bagpipes. Okay, there you go.
we will have bagpipes aplenty this year, and they'll be down in that field where the stage used to be and the tent used to be.
That's great. And that's all included in the admission, right?
Absolutely.
Okay, so it's not like there's an additional fee to go there or anything like that.
It's part of the festival. So
Okay.
once again, it's one of those fresh changes that we talk about, things to change things up. See how that goes.
Rumor has it there's another big change afoot having to do with cold beverages in the.
You've caught wind of that, have you?
I have.
So we will be having pints.
I read it on Facebook, so it has to be
It
true.
has to be true. You would be referring to Guinness.
I heard.
Guinness
yeah.
making their inaugural appearance at the Annapolis Irish Festival. In my business, when I'm not emceeing, I would call that the voice of the customer. We have heard from our customers basically every year. It's like, why is there no Guinness? Why is there no Guinness? And to be honest with you, it's just one of those things. I've been to a lot of different Irish festivals, and Guinness sometimes is there, sometimes they're not. From our standpoint, we've not had them in the past, but we've certainly heard that people are anxious and interested in having Guinness. So this year, they will be there. We're going to have Guinness.
I know I'd heard in the past that Guinness typically didn't do too many festivals.
Right.
Just because they didn't, festivals tend to be more of a party drinking type of an atmosphere,
Right.
and they didn't want to be necessarily noted with that. It's sort of like Carnival cruise ships.
Right.
Okay, they're sort of known as the party ship as opposed to something else. So I think they probably wanted to do that, but it also doesn't hurt that Guinness is coming to Baltimore.
Well, that's a fancy coincidence, isn't it? Yes. So we've heard that as well, that Guinness is going to be coming to Baltimore. They will be at our festival this year for the first time. Like I said, we continue to hear that after when you kind of ask folks at the end of each festival, what worked, what didn't work, and Guinness was one of the things that we hear every year. So they're here this year. We'll see how it goes.
I know a couple of years ago it was funny. Somebody had asked, "What's with the Bud Light at an Irish festival?" And one of the answers I heard was that you do realize that Bud Light is the most popular beer sold in Ireland.
Absolutely, absolutely.
It's an import, folks.
Absolutely. And I will tell you that when it's 90 degrees in July, it was one of those beverages that people like to drink. But it was and they've been kind to us. We have no ill will towards that. It's this is really more responding to our patrons, the folks that come year after year and have said we'd really like to have Guinness at the festival. So this is us replying to that and bringing them in.
So I paid my money.
You paid your money.
I've walked in the gate.
Yes.
What do I see? What's going on at the 2017 Annapolis Irish Festival?
Well, so this year,
besides the big ass stage that you're rolling in down,
absolutely, we are going to have a big old stage down there, and then at the top of the hill, we're going to have the stage that we've had at the top in the pavilion at the top of the hill. So to make room for the pipe competition, we've eliminated one of the stages. So whereas before we've had the three
which makes
stages,
sense to keep it fresh.
Right, absolutely. So it's just a change. So we will, when you first come in, you'll notice that the main stage is right there. We're going to have some familiar folks back on that stage, and I think folks are going to be really, really happy. We're going to have Scythian there, and Scythian is I tell you, they are one of those fun bands. They're fairly local. People just love seeing them. You talk about high energy. Oh my goodness.
They're one of my favorites. I know Danny, and they put on the Appaloosa
Yep,
Festival.
they absolutely do.
Over Labor Day
Yep.
in the foothills of the Blue Ridge
Yep.
Mountains down in Virginia. And go to that if you get a chance. It's very cool.
Yeah,
Sort
they
of a
usually
roots-
set up a little booth there to give people information about it.
It's a roots music festival. But these guys are not just a bunch of drunk Irishmen jamming. I mean, these guys are classically trained musicians, Scythian.
Absolutely.
And they put on a great show. Family affair. I mean, you've got Danny, I'm trying to remember what his other brother's name, and his sister,
Laura? I forget her name.
I'm drawing a
I am
blank.
drawing a total blank. You're asking me these questions that I don't have my notes for. Sorry about that.
That's okay. But Scythian is awesome band. Who else you got going?
So we're going to have Carbon Leaf back this year. Once again, another Virginia band. So
Yep.
we'll claim them as local. You know, Carbon Leaf is one of those bands. They have a Celtic side to them, and then they've got
That's sort of the mainstream rock.
Yeah, kind of that. They absolutely do. And you'll see them at a variety of festivals, and it's a nice little. I'll say change of pace because, like I say, they've got their Celtic side to it, but then they've also got that rock and roll side that people seem to like, and they are a constant draw, and people love to see them.
One thing about Carbon Leap, and I hope they would do it at the Irish Festival, I don't know, is that history of them is that they had a record deal. And then they got sick of paying the man. I mean, I'll really paraphrase this. They got sick of paying the man and said, screw it, we're going to do it on our own.
Absolutely.
And they have hit the ground running and not missed a beat whatsoever. But what they do, or they at a lot of their shows, is they record them live.
Yes.
And they're real-time burned onto flash drives.
Yep.
So at the end of the show, at the end of their set, you can go to their merch table, which everybody should go to the merch table of all the bands anyhow.
Absolutely.
And the Irish Festival merch table and get a T-shirt and all that kind of stuff.
Yep.
But you can, with a Carbon Leaf, you can actually get a flash drive of that set that you just heard 10 minutes ago.
Yep. And I think you can download it too from online. I think you can do that if you don't get it that night. But absolutely, it's a great concept that they do, and
Ain't technology wonderful?
it really is. It really. I might or might not have that show from the first time I got to bring Carbon Leaf out. I might have actually downloaded and bought that one myself so that I could hear myself introducing Carbon Leaf, who is one of my all-time and my wife's all-time favorite bands. Having Carbon Leaf is always a thrill for me.
So you were like a little groupie.
I might have been a little bit of a groupie hanging out with Terry and Carter and Barry and them. It just, yeah, maybe a little bit. I might have seen them once or twice, not at the Irish Festival.
All right, so we've got Scythian and Carbon Leaf. So that's a great lineup.
And we'll claim Patrick Murphy. So since I'm going to claim Patrick Murphy, who is actually from Cork, Ireland, but Gaelic Storm is back again this year. So, that's
my favorite fiddle player ever. She's everybody's favorite fiddle player.
Oh, well, I will tell you that, that's a party, right? And it's funny because for me, Gaelic Storm is the perfect Irish band to have because they do bring the party. And it is, for folks that don't know, Gaelic Storm was the steerage band in Titanic. So when they go below decks, that's how Gaelic Storm basically got started. They had started playing out in California in Santa Monica, in a local pub out there, and were seen and asked they would come and be the steerage band for the movie Titanic, just as they were getting started.
So they were like that old Harry Chapin song. They were the dance band on the Titanic.
They absolutely were the dance band on the Titanic, but they were the steerage dance band on the Titanic. But they bring the party. And to me, the reason that Gaelic Storm is perfect for our festival is that to me is what I think of when I think of Eddie McGowan's musical abilities, right? He plays the bagpipes, he plays the bass guitar, but he brought the party, and that was always the thing. And I think that was one of the things about this particular festival is it's a good time, and Gaelic Storm fits that mold. They come, they tell jokes, they're storytellers, and they're a hell of a set of musicians, just like all these other folks.
So there. What, any other bands on the lineup?
Well, so
I mean, I know it's probably all just sort of coming together now.
So Anya, I'm going to claim her local as well. She'll be back again this year.
Okay.
We'll have Seamus Kennedy. I'm going to claim Seamus as
Seamus is fun.
Right? Seamus. I want to claim him as local too. He's one of our guys. He's going to be there.
You got to love a guy that can be dirty as hell and then turn around and do a kid's show.
Absolutely, and I think that is the pure genius of Seamus Kennedy, because that's exactly Seamus. He can do a show that will make you blush, and then he can turn around and play for kids for an hour and have them all laughing and carrying on.
You know who I saw last Sunday night at Ram's Head? Danny Tanner.
Oh yes,
Bob Saget.
Yes,
who is also one of the most filthy comedians you'd ever want to imagine.
Yes. Absolutely. So the good news is we're going to have, we've got what I would call, some national acts. We certainly have local acts, running on both stages. And I do want to mention that we're going to have some things at the Little Leprechaun Land.
Oh, that's always a lot of fun for the kids.
The Little Leprechaun Land is, I think, one of the reasons why this festival has been so successful, because there's something for the kids to do. It's truly a family festival, and that the Little Leprechaun Land has grown every year. I mean, there's all kinds of things to do up there besides the face painting and the balloons, and we've had pony rides and bouncy castles and all kinds of stuff. But Seamus does his famous kid show, right? And folks love that. We bring in dance schools.
Well, the Irish step dancers,
Irish step dancers,
Teal'c, and
yep. Right, so we always bring them in. Hal the Piper. Hal the Piper, another local that we're going to claim.
What is his last name?
Cummings. Hal Cummings.
The Piper.
Yeah, he's the Piper. Hal and Judith, come on. Right? But Hal will, besides be playing with the Caledonians, he does a session up in the Little Leprechaun Land. Basically, does the bagpipe lesson and the little show, and kids love that as well. So it's just as you walk through, there's something going on for the kids. There's something going on for the adults. There's fantastic music.
One thing I do like about it too also is your selection of vendors, and you guys tend to be I think a little bit more selective in your vendors to have them sort of stick with the theme. I don't recall ever seeing a guy selling like sunrooms at the Irish Festival.
It's a great problem to have, is that we get a lot of folks that want to be vendors. It's because of the success of the festival, so it gives us an opportunity to pick vendors that do kind of match the theme. And
to change it up. Yeah. No, yeah. I mean, like I say, I bought a kilt. I bought a skirt last year.
There you go.
Which was, haven't had the nerve to wear it out in public yet, but I've got it.
Yeah, I've never done that myself. So people keep saying, Chaney, when are we going to see you on stage in a kilt? And I'm like, yeah, that's probably not going to happen. I'm not sure anybody needs to see that. So I think it's mutually beneficial for all if I just don't do that.
That'll work. Well, you can see Kevin Chaney on stage, absent a quilt.
Or kilt.
on Kiltless on June 2nd and June 3rd at the Anne Arundel County Fairgrounds for the Annapolis Irish Festival. You can get tickets right now on sale at AnnapolisIrishFestival.com. Ticket prices, I believe, are discounted, to be honest with you. I think I read this, that they're discounted now.
And I will mention that if you buy them online, you actually get in 30 minutes early, so that helps. So if you've got your tickets and you got them online, you do get in a little early.
So you bring your blanket and claim your space.
Absolutely.
And do that.
So buy your tickets online, folks.
No umbrellas or tents.
Correct.
Right.
Correct.
Okay. And don't be tailgating in the parking lot. Go on in and have a good time at the Irish Festival.
Absolutely.
A great time, always a great time for the sixth year.
Started in 2011.
For the 6th year in a row, the Annapolis Irish Festival coming to you on June 2nd and 3rd at the Anne Arundel County Fairgrounds. Thank you for coming, Kevin.
Thank you for having me.
Another cup of coffee?
Sure.
Okay, we're out.
If you don't like huge draft beer selections, don't go to Union Jack's. If you're not looking for an incredible menu and dozens of screens to catch your favorite teams, I repeat, do not go to Union Jack's. Not into darts and pool? Good. Live music not your thing? Perfect. Bottom line, if you are not interested in the best dining and bar experience in Annapolis, avoid Union Jack's. But if this all sounds totally friggin' awesome to you, visit Union Jack's in Annapolis, just across from Whole Foods in the Annapolis Town Center. Union Jack's, not your old-style pub.
And we're back with Brendan Curley at City Dock Cafe over in Arnold. How are you again?
Good, John. How are you doing?
Good. All right, last time we met, we talked about the BarBAYq, the paddle, and the Wing Festival, the Maryland Wing Festival. But this time we want to shift gears a little bit and get out of the, I don't say move into the vegetarian realm here with the Maryland Seafood Festival, which is coming up in September.
Yeah, it was a busy spring for us. So we had the 3 events, as you mentioned, back to back to back, and that we're certainly excited about the Maryland Seafood Festival. It's our 50th annual.
Wow.
And that very exciting things happening. And
all right, 50th annual. I got to ask, how old are you?
46.
Okay, so it's like this is not your father. This is your father's festival or something. I don't know, but it's that's 50 years. Wow. Well,
yeah, it's amazing. It started as a clam fest downtown at City Dock, and then over the years it outgrew that, and that went out to Sandy Point, and then really started by the Watermen, and then sometime in the 70s or 80s, that probably maybe it was early 80s that they didn't want to run anymore, and the Chamber of Commerce took it over.
Okay.
And then we started. I was working for the Maryland Maritime Heritage Festival at City Dock,
right,
putting on events, and got to know some folks at the Chamber, and they were looking for an executive director for the Maryland Seafood Festival. So I got asked to do that.
The rest of the line stood back, and Brendan was standing out in front.
Yeah, I got on the wrong bus, and the next thing you know. But so I got hired to take on that role and did it for a couple years. And then the Chamber wanted to get out of the event business. They were really going to focus on other things.
On business growth and whatnot, right? Their core principles.
Really what they wanted to do. Then they certainly do some good events for their members, but that's really not with their core competency. So we negotiated a price and bought the Seafood Festival. This will be our 9th year as ABC managing it.
Well, I will say that, I didn't know the history of it, but it's been seamless every year I've gone. I mean, it's not like you've come in and changed it. It's you find when you have a good thing,
well, it's
little changes, little massages are good, but big, wholesome changes are never a good thing. I've heard plenty of restaurants that get sold, and they're like, okay, well, we're going to do this, and before you know it, they're hanging a for sale sign on the front window.
Well, it had been around for a lot of. It's 50 years now, but it was over 40 when we got it. So obviously there had been great things to it. So we didn't want to rock the apple cart, but we did some things like we eliminated tickets. So to make it seamless, more seamless, less lines for the people coming. We added,
tickets as far as purchasing,
like buy tickets, and then you had to buy tickets.
Okay, so that was like with the BarBAYq, you should do the little plastic coins.
That's exactly right. Okay. Just to try to make that experience one less line. If we can do that, we want to do that. And then when we started, John, there was 8 food vendors, and last 8, and they were all nonprofit. And again, we give as much to nonprofits as they ever did. But
one thing I do want to point out that with every ABC event, for people that are listening that don't know, there is a charity component to it.
Yeah, every single one. Yeah, it's an important part of our mantra. Like we want to make the events have a community tie-in. It makes sense for us. I think my dad once said, he said, if you help somebody with no thought of it helping you back, that's the one that actually pays you back tenfold.
Right.
And it's one of those things that it's just a simple thing, but we try to give back. In Seafood Festival, we have 4 or 5 charities that we support because it's the size of it. But at the end of the day, we started with those 8, and now last year I think we had 27 food vendors. So, and then trying to get the food better and better each year. So one of the complaints we got when we first started was, hey, there's too much fried food or not enough of this, or the portions were all over the place. So our first thing was, let's get the food better. Let's get the food something you'd want to come try as a foodie. So think about it from a foodie's perspective. Our thing with events is try to create 2 or 3 new elements every year so that if you've been coming, what would be new this year? What would make you want to come? In addition to the good food or the good bands or the whatever, what can we add? For our 50th, we're going to bring back another stage. We're going to do some more kids stuff. We're adding fireworks. We're going to do 50 things that you can do for your $12.
Okay, you're going to have fireworks?
We're going to have fireworks,
and
yes.
Where are they going to be launched from and when?
From the beach on Saturday night.
On Saturday night?
Yeah.
With the Bay Bridge as a backdrop, perhaps?
Yes, we're going to try to shoot them over the stage, which have the Bay Bridge in the background.
I'll tell you, the events at Sandy Point State Park are some of my favorite. The Chesapeake Bay Blues Festival.
It's a neat event, yeah.
Which
Don
is
does
great.
a great job,
With just the the bridge in the background, the polar bear plunge it's just a spectacular location. And I can't imagine what it's going to be like to see fireworks with the Bay Bridge in the background. I don't think I've ever seen that, so that's exciting.
It'll be cool, yeah. So, and we've gotten permission from the park, and we're working through some logistics on that stuff too, which is great. But this idea of like 50 things to do for your money. So one of the things we try to do is bring value for your admission. So how can we get you to do more free stuff when you're in? What can we get you to sample? We're going to add a whole section of cooking demos. This is the other thing that's pretty cool.
Well, the cooking demos was something new probably, 3 or 4 years ago?
Yeah, but this year we're doing it is we're going to invite chefs from every county within the state to come and participate. So it would be a county. So you could see the best chef perhaps from Calvert County or whatever, and be able to come and then see those folks.
Well,
so really make it a statewide event.
I know Governor Hogan has always said that Maryland is essentially America in miniature. From you look out in Garrett and Allegheny County where you've got the mountains and whatnot, you get into the cities in Baltimore and the fields and everything else, and going out into the shore, you've got down into the beaches, which is really kind of neat. So you're going to be bringing a taste of the state to the Seafood Festival.
That's exactly
now,
right.
Is it all going to be seafood, or?
For the chef demos, we're asking for it to be seafood, but for there'll certainly be plenty of stuff for non-seafood lovers to come, or if one of the people in your crew doesn't like it.
That's me. I hate seafood. I can't stand it, but I do love the festival. And everyone looks at me and goes, "Really? You live in Maryland?" I said, "Yeah. If it lives in, on, or under the water, I won't eat it. If you can put tuna fish in a can, you got a chance." But it's.
But there'll be plenty of stuff for you. But yeah, and the other thing we're going to do, which I think we're excited about, is we did some brainstorming about. We're going to do past, present, and future. So the past, we're asking people to take pictures of old shirts, and if they have old shirts or old pictures that they would send us via Facebook, that we're going to give them discounts or free admission to the festival this year. Really focusing then on the present with the 50 things you can do, and then leading it into the future of really trying to think about being green and giving back and being a part of the Bay environment. Are really the three things we're focused on for the event.
And I know you do oyster recycling.
Absolutely. We try to do as much as we can, especially at the park, as you mentioned. It's a beautiful facility, and anything we can do environmentally to maintain that and do the best we can, we try.
Right. And Oyster Recovery Partnership works with you on that, right?
They've been on and off over the years.
Okay.
But what we do with them is we take all the shells and then we deliver them over to the folks. So we have oysters in our craft beer area, and that we take all those shells and we take them back for oyster recovery.
And your beer has really expanded too. I mean, I remember 6 years ago it was, okay, do you want Bud?
Never Bud, Miller Lite
or Bud Light. Or Bud Light. I mean, that was about your
Miller
choices.
Lite or Leinenkugel.
But you are going to have your craft beer tent again?
Yeah, and we're going to do a sports bar for that, which has been fun, and make the bigger section for TVs for people to come on out, because typically it's the first NFL weekend. And usually there's a lot of college games on Saturdays, so people can take a break and get some shade and watch a little sports. But yeah, it's funny, the beer business has gone boom. I mean, when we first started, there wasn't that many.
Right, that was your choice. Butter, Bud Light, or Miller Light.
Now there's like 30, 40, 50, hundreds if you really want to look.
Well, it's spurned obviously an industry, but my gosh, even Capital's got their Naptown Pint column with Liz Murphy. It's just an incredible booming business there. Maryland Seafood Festival, 50 years. Now, you mentioned people sending stuff as far as the throwback, if you will, from years past. Facebook, Maryland Seafood Festival?
Yep, we have our own Facebook page that they can like it on, and then we're going to do some pushes on that to make people aware that we have our own. Each one of the events has their own Facebook page.
Okay. And generally, for information about all of the events that you do put on, is ABC Events?
ABCEventsInc.com. Yeah, so it's interesting is that this is the first year we've ever branded that. Mm-hmm. And it was never intended to be that way. It's always to be the events first, and we were kind of the silent partner.
Right.
But I feel like when we have some of these events that it makes sense where people are going for the Seafood Festival to get more information. Why don't they realize that, hey, we do some other events and help
well, I would think that
co-market, if you will.
You vis-a-vis ABC could be a selling point of it as an amenity to the event. People would look and say, okay, well, I've been to one of their events. I know how much fun I had at the BarBAYq.
Well, again, it's hard to please everybody. It's a tricky business. It really is to make it work, and that it's a fine line but our goal every year is to provide a good value, provide some creative things, some fun things that people will enjoy that experience. And that if we can do that for the most, we're never going to please everybody, we've learned. But, our goal every year is to come in that way.
It's funny. You talk about pleasing everybody. Typically, Tim Hamilton and I do this podcast together, and just one comment or one email that we get, it's critical. And he's like, okay, what's his problem? What's her problem? And it just eats away at him. And I'm so immune to that. It's like, okay, well, I realize that we're going to, if I say Larry Hogan and Anthony Brown in a sentence, half the people are going to yell at me because I didn't say Brown first.
Yeah.
We're here at City Dock Cafe, and they're grinding some ice for a smoothie, I think. So we're going to wait 1 second rather than try to talk over that. But it's funny. You're damned if you do, damned if you don't sometimes. But
yeah, but I tell you, on the flip of that, we take the comments seriously. Try to take out the cuss words if they're in there, but try to learn from it. And our commitment is to try to improve every year. And, there's certain things that are just out of your control. But I tell you, the first couple of years we had the Seafood Festival, it rained. So people thought it was a huge coup that we were able to start working with the Seafood Festival and producing it. But at the end of the day, the first 2 years it poured down rain. Now we're better at it, and we learned, we have rain insurance and some other variables.
3 or 4 years ago, you had a tornado?
We had a tornado come down, and it knocked out, 22 of our arts and crafts tents. Destroyed them. And we lost power, and that the park worked their tail off to cut down the tree that had gone across the entrance.
Right, you didn't open until 2 or something, I think. I thought you had a delayed opening.
We had a little bit of a delayed opening, but then we still, we had great people come from that, too. We will always use a guy named, I'll tell you a quick story about that, is Kelly Bell. Have you ever heard of Kelly Bell?
Yeah, Kelly Bell Band.
Yeah,
they're fantastic.
Really neat guy. And one of the years that it rained, he stood up there unplugged and sang the rest of his set to the 20 people that were still there because it was pouring down rain. And I'll tell you what, I never forget him, and that he'll always be there as long as I'm a part of the Seafood Festival, because he stood with us in a time where everyone else was running for their car. And those 20 people will never forget that experience of Kelly Bell piping it out to them and finished his set.
Kelly Bell acoustic at Sandy Point State Park.
It was just one of those things you'd never see, and that he could have certainly, we certainly would have paid him either way, and he could have walked off and been like, my stuff's getting all wet. But you learn a lot about people through some of these hard times, or who's standing with you in the tornado, or who's there the next morning to help you get set up. So it's been a really interesting learning.
That's true. So then you teased a little bit. Kelly Bell Band will be playing at the Maryland Seafood Festival this year.
Yeah, it's hard to do without him, and we love him. And he's been around for a long time, and he's got a good following. So
he does. He draws a really good crowd. So the Maryland Seafood Festival is what dates again? Remind me.
September 9 and 10.
9th and 10th this year because it flows. It is always the first Saturday and Sunday after Labor Day. Correct.
Yep, always. Which will be interesting this year with the schools. They don't go back until, because normally they're in.
Oh, exactly. That's right. Thank you, Governor Hogan and Comptroller Francho. We'll have to see how that plays. Do you find that you have fewer kids? Is it more of? I know there's plenty of kids there, but do you think you're going to have a larger showing of kids?
It's so hard to predict the stuff, but we've seriously expanded our kids stuff. Matter of fact, we're gonna do a very specific thing just for kids. We're thinking about adding another stage, bringing back. When we first worked with the Seafood Festival, they did have a complete kids stage area. So we're thinking about bringing some of those things back, but a lot more interactive stuff, and not just for the little ones, but for them like that my kids age 10, 11, that age.
Okay, the preteens and whatnot there. Well, I know you've got sort of little BMX. You've had BMX things in the past and demonstrations.
And the pogo stick guys.
We'll
certainly have those, and I think we'll have the zip line again. People seem to really like that. And again, focusing on the food though, the food demos are going to be out of the charts. The second acoustic stage,
crab soup cook-off. That's
soup.
A tough word to say. Crab soup cook-off.
Yep, absolutely. That's been with us from the beginning, long before we had it. So.
And that's always a favorite there, where you go into the tent and you've got typically 20 or so competitors that are doing.
Yeah, typically we try to have somewhere between 20 and 30.
Right.
So that you can try, and some of them bring 2 soups. So it's certainly enough for $10 you can get a pretty full belly of soup.
Now, I don't do this, like I say, I don't do the seafood. Do competitors bring soups that are available where they are?
At the restaurant. So Stan and Joe's won last year for it was alternative soup.
Shout out and cheers to Stan and Joe's. Good job, guys.
Yeah, they're the best. And you got Joe out there. He's the best salesman I know too.
Right.
And that so they had a great time with that. But so they won. So that's available at Stan and Joe's. But some of them there's not available. Maybe 1 or 2 are available actually at the Seafood Festival. The rest of them are just like you stated.
I've been to some food-based things. That drives me nuts. You sit there and you go, maybe it's a burger festival or cheese festival, and it's like, oh, this is just so awesome. I would love to get this. Oh, yeah, no, you just made it specially for the festival. It's like, oh, you're killing me here. You're killing me here. Maryland Seafood Festival coming up in September. More information, you can go to ABC Events Inc. .com. Facebook, you can find them out at the Maryland Seafood Festival, as well as any of the other festivals. You've got the Maryland Chicken Wing Festival. You've got the Naptown BarBAYq. They're all on Facebook and Twitter. Follow them. Go to these festivals. They're a lot of fun. Annapolis does such a good job with festivals throughout the season. The festival season really has started to kick off already. And we look forward to seeing you at Sandy Point State Park for the Seafood Festival and the Anne Arundel County Fairgrounds for the BarBAYq. Brendan, thank you.
Thanks a lot, John. Appreciate it.
So, there you have it. Go get your calendar. I'll wait for you. May 6th for the Naptown BarBAYq, June 2nd and 3rd for the Annapolis Irish Festival, and September 9th and 10th for the 50th anniversary of the Maryland Seafood Festival. The next time we do an episode on festivals, look for us to talk about the Nextival, which is coming on July 8th at the Anne Arundel County Fairgrounds, as well as the Kegs and Corks Beer and Wine Festival, slated for August 12th. This is John Fernay with the Maryland Crabs, and make sure that you like us on Facebook. Make sure you tweet us whenever you see something else. Go on to iTunes, which is now called Apple Podcasts. Give us a rating. Give us a review. We are available on Google Play, Stitcher Radio, iHeartRadio. Anywhere you need to get your podcasts, we are there. And don't forget, you can always email us at info@themarylandcrabs.com. And check us out. Our website is themarylandcrabs.com. Till next time.
This has been the Maryland Crabs Podcast with Tim Hamilton and John Fernay. Sure to follow them at all the regular places, Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, and online at themarylandcrabs.com. Take a moment to rate us on iTunes. Now, get the hell out of my kitchen. Seriously, go!
You're still here? It's over. Go home. Go.